Hi students, this is Suchadata teaching economics to class 11 and here I am with the last chapter of your statistics book and the name of the chapter is index number. If we have to understand the concept of index number, the best way to understand this topic of index number is through taking an illustration. If I talk about the price rise in a particular year, say for example, I want to talk about the price rise in the year 2010. Then while framing this, there are three basic questions which come to my mind which have to be answered in order to have index number. And those questions are, compared to which year have the price risen or the price have increased according to which particular year. So, the comparison has to be made of 2010 with a particular year in order to show graphically or otherwise that the prices have risen in 2010. The next question which comes to my mind is that what are the units which I am going to take up while I am making the index number. For example, while I am calculating the price rise, I am going to talk about the price rise of the milk. I am going to talk about the price rise of vegetables, of cloth. Then when I am talking of these three different commodities, when I talk of milk for example, I have to take the unit as liter. When I talk of the vegetables, I am going to talk about it in kgs, and when I talk about cloth, I am going to talk about it in meter. So, these will be different units for different products and I am calculating the price rise of a particular year. Example that I picked up is 2010. Now, the next question that comes to my mind is how I am going to handle the situation of price rise. For example, when the prices rise, not the price of all commodities rise in that year. There could be a steep rise of prices of a particular commodity and there could be comparatively low rise or there could be no rise at all. But overall, it is a price rise situation. So, how do I handle this situation when the prices of different commodities are rising at various levels? So, while framing the index number, you have understood that there are three questions to be kept in mind and those are, I am comparing this price rise to which year? Then, which units are to be taken for calculating different things which we have to keep in mind. Next is, how do I handle the situation when the prices have risen of certain commodities and not of other commodities? Now, let us go to the answer of these questions. The answer is, the comparison will be that first of all, I will take the base year, that is the current year shall be considered as the base year. For example, here 2010 shall be our current or base year. Now, for the comparison of this base or current year, I am going to take a year which has a stable price rise. That is, it should be a stable year and a year which is closer to 2010. It should not be that for comparing 2010, I pick up 1910. That is no comparison. Or I take a year in which there was lot of inflation. It wasn't a very stable year. So, the first question answered is that the year has to be closer and it has to be a stable year. The second problem was that the units are to be kept in mind, are to be which? As far as the units are concerned, we are going to measure all of them in terms of percentage. So, our common platform here will be calculating those units in terms of percentage. The third problem that we had was handling situation when prices have risen of some commodities and not of others, or some have a steep rise and others have had a low price rise. Now here I am going to take up the average price rise. The average price rise shall be, supposing the potatoes have had a smaller price rise and the tomatoes have had a higher price rise. For example, the price rise in tomatoes is say 200 rupees a quintal, and for tomatoes it is 300 rupees a quintal. Then I am going to take an average of all those commodities which I am going to put up in my particular index number. I am going to add them all, divide by 100, and that shall give me the average figure of the price rise, and thus my index number calculation shall go correctly. So here are the problems and here are the solution to those problems when I am calculating or when I am framing an index number. So you've understood that index number is related to price rise, is related to inflation, deflation, and the changes which are occurring as far as the prices are concerned.